The sun had barely touched the horizon when Kale first heard the message. It came through the palace comm link, soft and deliberate, almost like a whisper, though the device was half a meter away on his desk. "I'll come to your room tonight," said the voice. Kale froze, not because of fear, but because the voice belonged to Princess Serena herself, the youngest member of the royal family and the strategist of the Human Space Alliance. Kale had worked in the palace for years, a technician who oversaw communication arrays and security systems. Most of the time, his life was a blend of routine and quiet observation, rarely punctuated by excitement. But this message made every muscle in his body tense. He had never received a personal message from Serena before, not even a formal greeting, not even a request. And the way the words carried themselves, calm, confident, but deliberate, made his chest tighten with anticipation. Kale glanced at the clock. 10 hours until the visit. He wondered if it was a test. The princess was known for testing the people around her, not for idle social calls. But why him? Of all the palace staff, he was simply a technician, not a diplomat or soldier. The question gnawed at him while he tried to focus on his work, checking the integrity of the comm array. Every wire, every signal channel, every data node had to be perfect. In some ways, the palace itself demanded perfection from everyone, but Kale's life felt simple compared to the strategists, the admirals, and the royal family themselves. Still, the idea of Princess Serena walking into his room tonight was strange, exciting, perhaps dangerous, but Kale didn't have time to dwell on that. There were alerts flashing on his console. Something unusual had been detected at the outer perimeter of the palace's orbital station. Kale tapped the screens, analyzing the anomaly. The station orbited a small, resource-rich planet in the Viridian sector. It was a hub for trade, diplomacy, and occasionally conflicts. The anomaly seemed to be a small vessel approaching the station, but its signals were scrambled, almost invisible to normal scanners. Kale frowned. "No ship should be here," he muttered. "No registered vessel, no trade permissions, nothing." "Kale, that's impossible. All approach lanes are monitored. No one should be moving in undetected. You're sure it's not a glitch?" "Command will decide next steps." He wondered what kind of reason could make her seek him out personally. Surely it wasn't simply curiosity. Kale had always been cautious, measured in his actions, never stepping into conflicts he didn't fully understand. And then the comlink buzzed again, but this time with a different signal. It wasn't the soft whisper he had received earlier. This was urgent, coded. Kale tapped his console to decode the signal. His fingers moved quickly, trained for emergencies, until a message revealed itself. "Kale, they are coming. Trust no one, be ready." The two messages, the whisper and the warning, felt connected, though he could not yet understand how. Kale didn't have much time to ponder. The anomaly had grown closer, and now its shape could be seen even through the station's outer viewing ports. It was a sleek ship, unfamiliar in design, and unlike anything used by the Human Space Alliance or known neighboring factions. Its surface shimmered with an odd metallic hue, almost camouflaged against the backdrop of space. The station's defense AI automatically issued alerts. Red lights blinked across the halls and automated turrets powered up. Kale felt a strange thrill. It was the first real threat the palace had faced in decades, and he was at the center of it whether he liked it or not. Then the ship emitted a pulse. It wasn't an attack, but more of a scanning wave. Kale noticed the consoles flicker, systems misaligning briefly before stabilizing. Whoever or whatever was out there, they were testing the station. Kale grabbed a data pad and sent a direct message to Princess Serena. "Princess, the ship is here. Unknown. Scanning. Please advise." He had spent years behind screens, ensuring communications and systems ran perfectly. Now the fate of the station, and perhaps the sector, rested partly on his shoulders. The hours dragged. Kale worked tirelessly, reinforcing shields, rerouting power to critical sectors, monitoring the unknown ship's every move. And then, just before midnight, a subtle shift occurred. The intruder ship halted outside the station and opened a narrow docking port almost silently. It was a message in itself. They were coming in. Kale knew he had to act fast. The automated defenses could hold for a short time, but not long. He recalled Princess Serena's words, "I will come soon." The thought of her arriving brought a strange mixture of relief and anxiety. She had warned him, but now she would be a target too. Kale positioned himself near the main control console, ready to activate emergency lockdown procedures. Every creak of the station, every light flicker made him more alert. He imagined the princess walking into his room, her presence a strange comfort, and yet he couldn't allow himself to think too much about her. Survival came first. The docking port opened fully. Figures appeared, tall, armored, and silent. They moved with precision, scanning the station with a technology far more advanced than the Human Space Alliance. Kale's breath caught. These weren't normal intruders. They were experts, possibly trained for infiltration and sabotage. He tapped the console, activating the defense turrets and sealing doors. The intruders paused, seemingly analyzing the new conditions. Then, almost as if reading his mind, they adapted, moving swiftly toward a secondary entrance. Kale realized they had come prepared for every defense the station could muster. And then, as he prepared to confront them further, the station's main doors hissed open, not from the intruder side, but from the maintenance corridor. A silhouette appeared, unmistakable even in the dim lighting. Princess Serena stepped in. Her presence was commanding, even more so than her messages had suggested. She didn't hesitate, didn't pause. "Kale, follow me," she said, her voice steady. "We don't have much time." Together, they moved through the maze of corridors, dodging detection and activating defense nodes just in time to repel initial intruder scans. Every step heightened the tension. Kale noticed how the princess wasn't just a strategist, but a fighter, agile and precise, capable of handling emergencies with unmatched skill. The first wave of intruders breached the secondary door. Kale and Serena faced them in the control chamber, the room buzzing with alarms and lights. The clash was brief but intense. Serena directed Kale to activate countermeasures while she engaged the intruders directly, using a combination of agility and non-lethal energy pulses. Kale marveled at her calmness. He realized that while he had been a technician all his life, the princess had trained for moments like this. And yet, she trusted him enough to be by her side. That trust was heavier than any weapon. After the first confrontation, the intruders retreated, leaving behind evidence of advanced scanning devices and surveillance drones. Kale quickly secured the room, analyzing the data. The information was alarming. These intruders were not just random raiders. They were part of an organized force, likely from a faction unknown to the Human Space Alliance. Their purpose was clear: infiltration, sabotage, and perhaps capture. Princess Serena turned to him, her expression serious. "Kale, this is only the beginning. They will try again. We have to find out who sent them and why. And I need you to be ready. You are the key to what comes next." And now he was no longer just a technician in the palace. He was a participant in a larger story, one that might define humanity's survival in the sector. He looked at her, determination building. "I'm ready," he said. Princess Serena nodded, a faint smile breaking her serious demeanor. "Good. We start at dawn. And Kale," she paused, her gaze locking onto his, "trust yourself. You can do more than you think." And when the first battle truly began, Kale realized he would have to rise beyond his fears, beyond his experience, and prove why humans were capable of remarkable feats, even against impossible odds. He sat back in the control chair, watching the stars outside the station. The whisper of the princess's message lingered in his mind, no longer a mystery, but a call to action. And for the first time in his life, Kale felt the full weight of destiny pressing upon him, and he welcomed it, because tonight was only the beginning. The first rays of dawn crept across the Viridian sector, glinting off the metallic hulls of ships orbiting the planet below. Kale had barely slept. The alarms, the intruders, and the mysterious warning from Princess Serena kept him awake, his mind racing through every possibility. Every system in the station had been double-checked, yet he knew they were not safe. Whoever had sent those intruders was clever, patient, and clearly planning something bigger. Princess Serena arrived at the command hub just as the sun fully rose. Her expression was calm but resolute, the kind of calm that commanded attention without needing to speak. Kale watched her, feeling both awe and determination. The urgency of her visit last night had been clear, but now he realized that it was more than just a warning. It was preparation. They had to act before the enemy struck again. "Kale," she said, her voice steady but firm, "the intruders are not random. They belong to a faction we have never officially encountered. Their technology is advanced, almost beyond what we can analyze in real time. If we do not act, they could take the station and use it as a staging point for attacks across the sector." He had worked on communications and security for years, but now he realized the stakes had risen far above simple technical failures. "So what do we do first?" he asked. Serena's eyes narrowed. "We need intelligence. We have to know their numbers, their weapons, their intentions. And Kale, we need to prepare for a direct confrontation. They will not stop at the station if we show weakness." They moved through the corridors, heading to the station's observation deck. From there, the entire orbital sector was visible. Kale checked the sensors. The intruder ship was gone, but that did not mean it had retreated. It had vanished into the shadows of space, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. Serena activated a holographic map. Blueprints of the station appeared, overlaid with sensor data and potential approaches. "We have to assume they have more than one ship," she said. "And they might have allies hidden within the planet below. We cannot underestimate them." "Turrets at entry points, traps in the corridors, and remote lockdowns for critical areas," he suggested. Serena nodded approvingly. "Exactly. And while you focus on defense, I will lead a team to gather intelligence. We need to know their origin and their technology. I will go alone if necessary, but I would rather have you by my side. Your knowledge of the station is invaluable." Kale had retrofitted it with additional sensors, long-range communication relays, and emergency countermeasures. The shuttle was small, but it was fast, agile, and capable of evading detection from almost any conventional scanning system. As they launched from the station, the planet's curvature visible below them, Kale felt a strange combination of fear and exhilaration. They were stepping into the unknown, facing a threat unlike anything humanity had encountered in the sector. Serena remained calm, her focus absolute. "Kale, remember what I told you last night. Trust yourself, and trust that humans are capable of more than even they believe. That is why we survive, even against the impossible." Her words resonated within him. Humanity had always faced threats, but it was ingenuity, courage, and persistence that had carried them forward. If they could harness that now, perhaps they could turn the tide against this unknown enemy. Their scanners detected a faint signal near the planet's surface. It was consistent with the intruder ship's technology. The signal was weak, almost ghost-like, but unmistakable. Serena's eyes narrowed. "They're hiding on the planet, likely gathering resources or preparing for an attack. We need to investigate and disrupt their plans before they can strike the station again." The planet below was rich in forests and metallic resources, a perfect cover for the intruders. He kept his focus, knowing that any miscalculation could alert the enemy to their presence. They landed in a dense forest, the shuttle settling among towering trees and metallic undergrowth. Serena exited first, moving silently but confidently through the terrain. Kale followed, carrying portable scanning devices and communication equipment. They moved cautiously, aware that even a single misstep could trigger an ambush. After an hour of careful navigation, they discovered the source of the signal, a hidden facility partially buried underground, camouflaged with advanced technology that blended with the natural environment. Kale scanned the perimeter. The facility emitted energy signatures similar to the intruder ship, confirming their suspicions. Serena studied the entrance. "This is their base. They are organized, precise, and highly advanced, but they are not invincible. We need to understand what they are planning and find a way to disrupt it. I can access their systems remotely, maybe create a distraction or disable defenses. It won't be easy, but it's possible." The intruders were preparing a deployment across the sector, likely targeting other stations and human settlements. Their technology was formidable, capable of bypassing conventional defenses and communication systems. Serena's expression hardened. "They are planning a coordinated attack. If we delay, they could cripple the station and destabilize the sector. We must act quickly. I will cover you." Kale bypassed encryption, redirected energy flows, and manipulated security protocols. The facility shuddered under the strain of their interference. Finally, he reached the central node, sending a pulse that temporarily disabled communication and defense systems. The intruders were thrown into disarray, their coordination disrupted. Serena moved swiftly, gathering critical data from the facility before retreating. "Kale, we have what we need. Now get us out of here before they regroup." "This is more serious than we thought," she said. "Their technology is advanced, but they underestimate human ingenuity. We can use this information to anticipate their moves and defend the station more effectively." He was part of a strategy, a plan to protect humanity from a threat unlike any they had faced before. Back at the station, they reported their findings to the Command Council. The room buzzed with activity as military leaders, engineers, and strategists analyzed the data. The intruders' plans were sophisticated, but the Human Space Alliance had something they lacked: creativity, adaptability, and an unbreakable will to survive. Serena addressed the council. We have a chance to turn the tide, but it will require courage, precision, and trust in each other. The intruders are powerful, but they do not know the limits of human determination. That is our advantage. Rest now, tomorrow the real challenge begins. And Kale, she paused, her eyes locking with his, never forget what we are capable of when we work together. But more importantly, he had seen the strength of human ingenuity and courage, embodied in the princess and in himself. That night, as Kale prepared for a brief rest, the station's lights dimmed, signaling the transition to night cycle. He looked out at the stars, knowing that somewhere in the darkness, the intruders were planning their next move. And Kale understood one truth clearly: humanity was not powerless. They had ingenuity, courage, and the will to survive. No matter how advanced the intruders' technology, they could never match the determination of a human mind and spirit. The battle for the station, and perhaps the sector, had only begun. Kale felt the familiar mix of fear and excitement coursing through him. With Princess Serena leading the way, and with his knowledge of the station, they had a chance. A chance to fight back. And Kale knew that tonight he would not simply sleep. He would prepare, learn, and ready himself for the challenges to come. For in the vastness of space, in the shadow of unknown threats, humanity's greatest weapon was not their ships or weapons. It was their courage, their adaptability, and their unwavering determination to survive. As the stars twinkled beyond the station's viewports, Kale whispered to himself, almost as if echoing the princess's earlier words, "We are capable of more than they think. And we will show them." The events of the past 2 days had shifted his understanding of his role in the universe. He was no longer just a technician. He was a key player in a struggle that would test every limit of human ingenuity. Princess Serena joined him in the command hub, her expression calm but focused. "Kale," she said, her eyes scanning the array of monitors, "they will strike again. The intruders will not wait long. We need to anticipate their moves, not just react. You have a mind for patterns and systems. We can combine that with human instinct and strategy. That is what makes us strong." Their technology was advanced, but it relied heavily on coordination. If even one part of their plan faltered, it could unravel. "Here," Kale said, pointing at a series of energy readings on the monitor. "They are concentrating their sensors on the northern approach. That means their main attack will come from the east and west corridors. I can reinforce those sections, create traps, and isolate them if they enter the station." They had no idea how resourceful humans could be when pushed to the edge. Hours passed in preparation. Kale and Serena coordinated the station's defense, positioning automated turrets, sealing unnecessary corridors, and planting energy traps in strategic locations. Kale's hands moved swiftly over the control consoles, checking calculations, rerouting power, and simulating attack scenarios. As night fell over the station, a red alert blared. Sensors detected multiple energy signatures approaching from the east and west corridors simultaneously. The intruders had returned, more numerous than before. Their ships had deployed drones and boarding units, moving with coordinated precision. Kale's heart raced. This was it, the first true confrontation. The station shuddered as the intruders initiated their boarding sequence. Sirens echoed through the corridors, warning personnel to seek shelter. But Kale and Serena moved calmly, knowing that action was required. "Kale, we need to split," Serena said. "I'll engage the east corridor, you take the west, focus on control systems and traps. If we can slow them down, we can manage their numbers." Kale monitored their movement through the station's sensors, triggering automated defenses and activating energy traps. One intruder advanced too quickly and was caught in a containment field, immobilized for several seconds before retreating. Kale felt a surge of confidence. Human technology, when combined with ingenuity, could indeed stand against these advanced foes. Meanwhile, Serena moved with grace and precision, using her agility and combat training to intercept intruders. Energy pulses flashed across the hallways as she neutralized threats without unnecessary violence. Kale admired her skill but knew that his own contributions, through control of the station systems, were equally vital. Hours passed like minutes. The battle was intense but controlled. Kale's traps and strategic rerouting of power created confusion among the intruders. They were forced to adapt constantly, while humans maintained the advantage of knowledge and ingenuity. Kale paused for a moment, catching his breath. He realized something important. The intruders relied heavily on coordination and technology, but humans had adaptability, creativity, and courage. While the intruders followed patterns, Humans could innovate in real time, improvise, and anticipate moves that machines alone could not predict. The tide began to shift. Kale noticed the intruders faltering as they encountered unexpected obstacles, doors locking unexpectedly, turrets firing from hidden positions, energy pulses creating temporary barriers. He guided each defensive measure with precision, turning the station itself into a labyrinth of advantage. Serena called through the comm link, her voice calm but commanding. Kale, the east corridor is secured. Move to central control. We need to coordinate final containment. He activated lockdown protocols, sealing sections of the station and forcing intruders into isolated zones. Automated turrets and energy barriers created choke points, slowing the invaders' advance. He felt a moment of triumph. Humans were proving their strength not through brute force alone, but through strategy, coordination, and the ability to adapt in ways the intruders had not anticipated. But then the sensors detected a new wave, a more advanced group, moving with precision and wearing armor unlike any previously encountered. They were faster, stronger, and more coordinated. Kale's confidence faltered for the first time. These intruders were learning, adapting to human tactics. Serena's voice came through, calm but urgent. Kale, we have to push them into the secondary containment area. Use the central hub controls to guide them. I will handle the rest. The station's automated systems worked in harmony with human strategy, turning the invaders' strength against them. Hours of tense combat passed. Exhaustion weighed on Kale and Serena, but the intruders were retreating. Their advance had been blunted, their numbers diminished. The humans had held the station. Serena joined Kale in central control, her expression tired but satisfied. We did it, she said softly. But this is only the beginning. They will regroup, they will come again, and next time they may be stronger. As they surveyed the station, Kale realized that their victory was not just in defense but in learning. Every move, every trap, every decision had given them insight into the intruders' tactics, and that knowledge would be crucial for future encounters. The station was secure for now, but Kale and Serena knew that vigilance was essential. They began repairing damage, recalibrating sensors, and preparing for the inevitable next attack. Humans were not invincible, but they were resourceful, determined, and capable of extraordinary feats when faced with impossible odds. Kale reflected on the events of the past day. He had started as a simple technician, someone who maintained systems and ensured routine operations ran smoothly. Now he was part of a larger mission, one that could determine the fate of the station and the sector. The responsibility was immense, but he felt ready. Humans had a way of rising to challenges, of turning fear into action, and of using their minds to overcome obstacles that seemed insurmountable. Serena approached him, her gaze steady. Kale, you did well today. Your knowledge, quick thinking, and adaptability were critical. Remember, it's not just strength or numbers that win battles. It's intelligence, courage, and the will to act. That is what sets humans apart. And he was ready to prove it again and again. As night fell over the station, Kale prepared for rest, knowing that the intruders would not give up easily. Somewhere in the darkness of space, they were regrouping, analyzing the human response and planning their next strike. But Kale was not afraid. He had seen the power of human ingenuity, determination, and courage. And he knew that with Princess Serena by his side, they could face whatever challenges came next. The stars twinkled outside the station, silent witnesses to the battle that had just been fought and the challenges yet to come. Kale understood one truth clearly. Humans were underestimated not because they were weak, but because their strength was not always obvious. It was in their minds, their creativity, and their unwavering determination. And as Kale drifted into sleep, he felt a quiet confidence. The station was secure, the intruders had been repelled, and humanity had proven that even in the face of advanced technology and unknown enemies, they could endure, adapt, and overcome. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, Kale allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. They had survived, they had learned, and they had shown that humans were not to be underestimated. Somewhere in the vast expanse of space, the intruders watched, calculating, learning, and preparing for the next encounter. And Kale knew without a doubt that when the next battle came, humans would be ready, because humans were not just survivors. They were thinkers, adapters, and fighters. And when faced with the impossible, they found a way to rise above it. And this time, Kale and Princess Serena would lead the way. The stars above the Viridian sector shimmered like distant fires as Kale and Princess Serena prepared for what they knew would be the most dangerous mission yet. The intruders had been repelled twice, but their forces were growing stronger. Intelligence reports from the last encounter suggested that the enemy had regrouped on the planet below, consolidating their technology and preparing for a larger attack. The Human Command Council had decided that waiting for another strike was too risky. The only way to protect the station and the sector was to take the fight directly to the enemy. Kale felt the weight of responsibility as he checked the shuttle systems for the third time that morning. Every sensor, every turret, and every emergency protocol had to be flawless. One misstep could mean the loss of the station, or worse, human lives. His hands moved confidently, the rhythm of preparation familiar, but the stakes were higher than ever. Serena approached, reviewing the strategy again. Kale, this mission is dangerous but necessary. We cannot let them strengthen their position. We will infiltrate the planet's facility, disable their main control systems, and gather intelligence. Once we succeed, we can anticipate their attacks and protect the sector. We need to move fast and precise. Their defenses will be stronger and they will expect us. We have to be smarter than they anticipate. Dense forests and metallic resources spread across its surface, providing perfect cover for the enemy. Every scan revealed careful camouflage, yet faint traces of energy suggested the location of their facility. As they approached, the shuttle's stealth systems activated. Kale adjusted the sensors to avoid detection, navigating through the upper atmosphere with careful precision. Serena's voice broke the silence, calm and focused. Remember, Kale, humans survive because we adapt. Watch for patterns and anticipate moves before they happen. That is our advantage. They exited the shuttle cautiously, their steps silent among the towering metallic trees and dense undergrowth. Kale carried portable scanning devices and communication tools, while Serena held her energy pulse weapon, ready for confrontation. The facility loomed ahead, partially buried and camouflaged with advanced technology. Kale's scanners detected multiple energy fields and sensor nodes, but he quickly identified a blind spot in the southern perimeter. "This is our entry point," he whispered. "We can avoid most of their defenses if we move carefully." The enemy had established patrol patterns, but Kale's knowledge of systems and strategy allowed them to navigate unseen. Every step required patience, calculation, and quick decision-making. They were a human mind and spirit combined with technology, moving as one against a seemingly impossible foe. Inside the facility, the intruders' technology was astonishing. Energy barriers, automated defenses, and scanning systems filled the corridors. But Kale's expertise allowed them to bypass most security measures. With each calculated move, they drew closer to the central control room, the heart of the enemy's operations on the planet. As they approached, Kale paused. "Serena, the main node is heavily guarded. We'll need to create a distraction to reach it without being detected." The intruders moved to investigate, leaving the central node less protected. Kale and Serena seized the opportunity, moving quickly and silently. The central control room was vast, filled with holographic displays and advanced technology. Kale immediately set to work, connecting his portable systems to the main interface. The data that flowed into his devices was staggering: enemy positions, energy allocations, patrol schedules, and attack plans. Every detail provided critical insight. Serena watched over him, alert to any threats. She moved with agility and precision, intercepting patrols before they could detect Kale. The synchronization between them was seamless, human ingenuity at its finest. Kale focused on disabling key systems. He created temporary feedback loops in the facility's communication arrays, blocked sensor nodes, and manipulated power flows to prevent immediate countermeasures. The intruders were clever, but Kale's quick thinking and understanding of systems allowed him to stay one step ahead. Minutes felt like hours. Every action required precision, every decision carried weight. Finally, Kale bypassed the central security protocol, gaining access to the facility's main systems. He downloaded critical data onto his portable drives, revealing plans for future attacks across the sector. The enemy had underestimated human intelligence. Serena's voice broke through, urgent but calm. "Kale, they're moving back to investigate the central room. We need to leave now." They reached the shuttle just as enemy forces converged on their position. Serena moved with precision, neutralizing threats with minimal effort, while Kale activated the shuttle's defense protocols. Energy fields deployed, creating barriers between them and the intruders. As they lifted off, the facility shook with internal disruptions caused by Kale's interference. Alarms echoed, systems failed, and the intruders were forced to retreat to secure areas. Kale piloted the shuttle through the upper atmosphere, skillfully avoiding detection and counterattacks. Once safely in orbit, they reviewed the data collected. The information revealed the intruders, technology, planned attacks, and likely reinforcements. Serena studied the files, her expression serious. This is invaluable. With this, we can anticipate their moves, prepare defenses, and even plan counterattacks. Humanity is not just surviving, we are learning and adapting faster than they expected. Their ingenuity, courage, and determination were their greatest weapons. Back at the station, they shared their findings with the Command Council. Leaders and strategists reviewed the data, formulating new plans for defense and counterattack. The sector's military forces prepared for coordinated operations, leveraging the intelligence gathered to anticipate intruder movements. Serena turned to Kale after the briefing. "You have done more than your duty. You have proven that knowledge and ingenuity can shape the outcome of battles, even against superior technology. Humanity is not just a passive force. We are active, adaptive, and unstoppable when we work together." He had started as a technician, but now he was part of a strategy that could protect entire planets. The intruders had assumed that humans were predictable and cautious, but they had underestimated the capacity for rapid learning, innovation, and bold action. That night, Kale walked through the station, observing the hum of activity. Engineers, soldiers, and strategists moved with purpose, preparing for the next phase of defense and engagement. He realized that the station was not just a base, it was a testament to human resilience, ingenuity, and determination. Serena joined him, her presence a steady reassurance. "Kale, tonight we rest, but tomorrow we continue. The intruders will return, but we now have the advantage. We know their technology, their plans, and their patterns. Humanity has turned the tide, not through sheer force, but through intelligence and courage." As he looked out at the stars, Kale understood that the battles ahead would test every skill, every thought, and every decision. But he was ready. Humans were capable of extraordinary feats when faced with impossible odds, and with Serena, strategy, and his knowledge, they could meet any challenge head-on. The intruders were out there, regrouping and preparing. But Kale knew that humans had something they could never replicate: imagination, courage, and the unyielding will to survive. The next battle would come, but this time humanity was ready. And Kale understood a deeper truth. The struggle was not only about survival, but about proving that humanity, underestimated and overlooked by the galaxy, could rise above any challenge. The intruders had learned the first lesson: humans adapt, humans fight, and humans endure. As the station settled into a quiet night, Kale allowed himself a moment of reflection. The missions, the battles, the infiltrations, all of it had revealed one undeniable fact. The human mind, when focused, determined, and fearless, was a force even the most advanced adversaries could not fully anticipate. And the stars above seemed to echo that truth, shining with the promise of battles yet to come, victories yet to be won, and a future shaped not by fear, but by human courage, intelligence, and unity. Kale and Princess Serena would face the intruders again, but this time they had more than preparation. They had understanding, strategy, and the knowledge that humans, underestimated as they were, could change the course of the galaxy itself. The fight was far from over. The intruders would return. The sector would face challenges. But humanity, led by courage and ingenuity, would stand. And Kale, once a simple technician, now a strategist and defender, would be at the forefront, proving that when humans are pushed to their limits, they rise, not just to survive, but to triumph. The stars waited silently, and so did Kale, ready for whatever came next. The station hummed with tension, a low vibration that seemed to pulse through every corridor. Every console, turret, and sensor was active, manned, and monitored. Kale had been awake for hours, overseeing preparations for the battle that everyone knew was coming. Intelligence from the previous mission had revealed that the intruders were gathering an unprecedented fleet, larger, faster, and more coordinated than anything the sector had ever seen. The time for strategy and infiltration had ended. Now humanity would face the intruders directly. Princess Serena moved through the command hub, calm yet commanding. Her presence gave strength to everyone around her. Soldiers, engineers, and strategists followed her instructions with precision, their movements confident and purposeful. Kale felt a surge of respect. The princess was more than a strategist. She was a leader who inspired humans to rise above fear and doubt. "Kale," Serena said, her voice firm. "This will be our toughest challenge. The intruders have learned from previous encounters. They expect resistance, but they have not faced the full ingenuity and determination of humanity. We must stay one step ahead, adapt quickly, and never falter. We need to make bold moves. They will underestimate us if we act unpredictably. That is our advantage." The intruders were precise, coordinated, and deadly, but Kale's preparations had created a network of traps and layered defenses that they would not anticipate. Serena activated the station-wide comlink. "Attention all personnel. This is the moment we have prepared for. Stay alert. Trust your training. And remember, humans adapt, humans endure, humans rise. We will not falter." Energy pulses from the intruders hit the outer shields, but the barriers held, reinforced by Kale's careful calculations and continuous adjustments. Turrets fired in coordinated patterns, disabling drones before they could breach the station. Intruder ships exploded one by one, their formation disrupted by the human defense network. Serena moved to the forward command deck, her attention divided between the strategic map and direct observation of the battle. She directed human pilots to intercept vulnerable targets, using precision and timing to amplify the effectiveness of every strike. Kale adjusted power flows to reinforce critical sectors, ensuring that no breach could occur. Hours of intense combat followed. The intruders adapted, deploying new formations and trying to exploit weak points, but humanity responded with innovation and rapid adaptation. Kale monitored every move, rerouting shields, triggering energy traps, and coordinating defensive maneuvers with surgical precision. The battle reached a critical point when the intruders concentrated a large group of ships on the station's southern perimeter, attempting to overwhelm the defenses. Kale's calculations suggested that if even a few ships penetrated, the station could suffer catastrophic damage. He knew that this was the moment to turn the tide decisively. "Serena," Kale said, voice tense but controlled, "if we overload their approach with false signals, we can force them into a trap I've set. It will draw their ships into the central corridor where turrets and energy barriers can neutralize them all at once." Energy pulses created false readings on the intruders' sensors, making the southern approach appear weaker than it was. Intruder ships advanced, drawn to the apparent vulnerability. As they entered the central corridor, automated turrets opened fire in synchronized patterns, while energy barriers sealed the ends, trapping the ships. One by one, the intruder vessels were neutralized, their formation destroyed. The intruders' command ship, larger and more imposing than any of the others, appeared on the monitors. Kale analyzed its energy signature. It was highly advanced, capable of disrupting shields and disabling weapons. But it was also large, less agile, and dependent on the smaller ships for support. "Serena," Kale said, "we can target the support ships first, isolate the command ship, and then engage it directly. Without its fleet, it will be vulnerable. Let's show them what we are capable of." The battle reached its climax when the command ship advanced toward the station, energy weapons firing in rapid succession. Serena took command of the offensive strategy, coordinating human forces to strike at weak points while maintaining the integrity of the station's defenses. Kale manipulated the station systems, creating temporary power surges and energy pulses that disrupted the intruders' targeting systems. The command ship faltered, its systems overloaded by the combined efforts of human ingenuity and precision. Kale triggered the final energy trap, channeling power through the station's main arrays to immobilize the ship temporarily. Human pilots executed the finishing strike, disabling the command ship completely. A collective sigh of relief spread through the station. The intruder fleet had been defeated. Energy signatures on the monitors dwindled to nothing. Kale leaned back, exhausted but exhilarated. Humanity had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. Serena approached him, her expression a mixture of pride and fatigue. "Kale, we did it. The station is secure and the intruders have been repelled. You were instrumental in this victory. Your knowledge, quick thinking, and adaptability made all the difference." "We adapted, we learned, and we fought. That is what made the difference." The data from the engagement revealed that the intruders had underestimated the humans' capacity for rapid adaptation, strategic planning, and coordinated action. Every advantage the intruders possessed had been countered by human ingenuity. Kale reviewed the logs, noticing patterns and decisions that had led to success. He realized that the combination of technology, strategy, and human intuition had created a force the intruders could not anticipate. The victory was not just in firepower, but in the human mind and spirit. Serena stood beside him, observing the fleet reports. Kale, this battle is more than just a victory for the station. It is a statement to the galaxy. Humans may be underestimated, but we are never powerless. We adapt, we innovate, and we endure. The aftermath of the battle brought a period of rebuilding and preparation. The station's systems were repaired, defenses upgraded, and personnel trained to anticipate future threats. Kale worked alongside engineers and strategists, applying the lessons learned during the engagements to strengthen human capabilities. Serena addressed the personnel in the command hub. We have faced a great threat and emerged victorious. But victory is not the end. It is a beginning. Humanity will continue to face challenges in the galaxy, but we now know that with ingenuity, courage, and determination, we can overcome anything. Remember this, the impossible is not beyond reach when humans unite their minds and spirits. Humanity had proven its strength, but the universe was vast, full of unknown threats and challenges. Yet he knew that humans would face them with resilience, intelligence, and courage. As the station settled into a calm night, Kale walked through the corridors, observing the quiet hum of activity. Soldiers, engineers, and strategists moved with purpose, each one contributing to the strength of humanity. He reflected on the journey, from the initial warning, through infiltration, battles, and finally victory. Every step had been a test, and humanity had passed with brilliance. Serena joined him on the observation deck, looking out at the stars that stretched endlessly across the sector. Kale, this victory is proof that humans are more than underestimated. We are capable of extraordinary feats when we act with courage, strategy, and unity. The stars above twinkled, silent witnesses to the courage and ingenuity of humanity. The intruders had been defeated, but the universe remained vast and full of unknown dangers. Yet Kale knew with confidence that humans could face anything the galaxy placed before them. Princess Serena turned to him, a faint smile on her face. Kale, you have proven yourself beyond expectation. Humanity has won this battle, but more importantly, we have proven what we are capable of. Remember this feeling. Let it guide you for the challenges to come. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, any who dared underestimate humans would remember this day. They would remember that humans adapt, humans endure, and humans rise, undaunted by any challenge, unstoppable when united. Kale turned back to the command hub, ready to continue the work to strengthen defenses and to prepare for the unknown. Humanity had won the battle, but the war for survival and recognition in the galaxy was ongoing. And Kale, once a simple technician, would be at the forefront of every challenge, proving again and again that when humans are pushed to their limits, they rise, not just to survive, but to triumph. The stars outside sparkled in silent celebration, reflecting the courage, ingenuity, and spirit of humanity. And for the first time in a long while, Kale felt complete. They had faced the impossible and emerged victorious. Humanity had been tested, and humanity had risen.